Listen closely, chosen one. A quiet shift moved through your spirit today. A moment so subtle most people never notice it, yet it reached all the way to heaven. I am Shi Hengyi, and I want to guide you through the hidden reason. Behind that moment, the reason your actions carried a divine echo. In Shaolin teaching we speak of Yi, the mind of intention. Many know the word, but few understand its true depth. Yi is not simply thought. Yi is direction, clarity, and sincerity woven into action. When intention becomes pure, even the smallest gesture turns into a path toward alignment with the higher realms. Earlier today, you made a choice. A choice grounded in honesty, kindness, or quiet discipline. You might not call it extraordinary, yet such choices open invisible gates. They strengthen the connection between earth and heaven. Every step is like a soft knock on a sacred door. And today, that door opened. Stay with me until the end of this message, because together we will explore how intention shapes destiny, how discipline becomes devotion, and how unseen forces respond to the tone of the heart. I will share Shaolin insights rarely spoken outside temple walls. Insights about internal alignment, unseen energy currents, and the way sincere actions ripple across realms far beyond this physical world. You will understand why your day carried power, why your effort mattered, and why the divine is stirred by the purity you expressed. This journey is not just knowledge, it is recognition, it is awakening. Welcome once again to Shaolin Soulfire. Your presence honors this space. Subscribe so you never miss the teachings meant to guide your path forward. There comes a moment in every seeker's path when silence teaches more than struggle. I want to take you into that moment, the place where discipline stops feeling like effort and begins to feel like devotion. In Shaolin life, discipline is never just about repeating movements or holding stances until the legs shake. Those are only the surface layers. Beneath them lies a deeper training, one that chisels the character far more than the muscles. Every time a student rises before dawn, bows to the practice, or corrects the wandering mind, the body learns structure, but the soul learns sincerity. I once had a young student who believed discipline was about perfection. He pushed himself hard, repeating forms until sweat covered the ground, but his spirit was restless. One day, I asked him to sweep the courtyard, slowly, mindfully, without rushing. He resisted at first, but eventually his breath settled into the rhythm of the broom. When he finished, he looked different, calmer, clearer. That day he understood, discipline is not force, it is alignment. This kind of discipline shapes how you speak, how you respond, how you think. It teaches restraint when anger rises, clarity when confusion spreads, patience when the world demands haste. These are not small victories. These are spiritual victories. And today, you practice this without even realizing its weight. Maybe you held your tongue when irritation stirred. Maybe you stayed committed to a promise instead of choosing comfort. Maybe you acted with integrity when nobody was watching. Each of those choices sends a quiet signal upward, a signal of steadiness, trustworthiness, devotion. Heaven hears these signals. The divine recognizes the strength it takes to stay aligned when chaos tempts you off the path. Your discipline, in its purest form, is a prayer without words, and God delights in that unwavering devotion. There is a wisdom the ancients carried quietly, the understanding that the true temple has no walls. It rises and falls with your breath, lives behind your ribs, and responds to every thought you allow to take root. In Shaolin tradition, the body is not seen as separate from the spirit. It is the vessel, the bridge, the living ground where heaven and earth meet. There was once an elder monk who trained with movements so soft they were almost invisible. A young disciple asked why he practiced so gently when others struck the wooden posts with fierce strength. The elder smiled and placed a hand over his own heart. "Power begins here," he said, "and spreads outward. If the inside is chaotic, the outside will follow. If the inside is clear, the outside becomes unshakable." Mind-body unity is this clarity. It is the art of letting breath guide the body and letting intention guide the breath. When you inhale with awareness, chi gathers. When you exhale with purpose, qi flows. With each conscious movement, even something as simple as lifting your shoulders to release tension, you are aligning these forces, mind, body, and the vital energy between them. What you did today may have seemed ordinary, a pause before speaking, a slow breath before reacting, a moment where you grounded your awareness back into your body. But these small acts are not small in truth. They repair what stress fractures. They steady what emotion shakes. They honor the temple that carries your spirit through this life. Every mindful breath strengthens your inner foundation. Every present step restores harmony within you. Every choice to return to awareness cleans the altar of your being. This is the quiet mastery tending to the temple within, not through grand rituals, but through simple, sincere presence. Each moment you lived today with awareness was an offering, one that brings your whole being into deeper alignment. There's a subtle current moving through all living things, a quiet force the ancient masters called qi. Many hear the word and think of energy, but qi is not just energy. It is connection. It is the thread that ties the heavens to the earth, the mind to the body, the inner world to the outer one. To understand qi is to understand the very rhythm of existence. Old Shaolin texts describe qi as a river. When it flows freely, the spirit is bright, the body strong, the mind clear. When it stagnates, even the simplest tasks feel heavy. One monk once explained it to his students by pointing to a lantern. The flame, he said, is intention. The oil is the body, but the light, the warm glow that fills a room, that is qi. It is what allows your inner state to shape your outer experience. Shaolin training teaches not only how to build qi, but how to listen to it. Breathing is the first doorway. Each slow inhale gathers life force. Each long exhale releases tension, fear, and scattered thoughts. Meditation refines it further, helping qi settle like clear water after a storm. Movement then guides it through the body's pathways, strengthening what is weak, softening what is rigid. Think back to your own day, that moment when you paused and breathed deeply instead of reacting, the minute you allowed your shoulders to drop, your jaw to loosen, your awareness to come home. These were not random moments of calm, they were acts of cultivation. You were shaping the flow of your own life force. When you breathed with intention, heaven's gift moved through you. When you walked mindfully, that river of qi aligned itself with your purpose. When you chose stillness over chaos, you became a vessel for harmony. This is the quiet truth. Every mindful breath you took today was a form of communion, a way of channeling the very force that sustains all life. There is a battle that unfolds quietly within every human being, a battle no one else can see. Shaolin wisdom teaches that true strength is not proven in combat or hardship, but in the invisible arena of the mind. Here, the ancient masters identified the 5 hindrances, forces that cloud clarity, weaken resolve, and pull the spirit away from its natural harmony. Sensual desire, ill will, sloth, restlessness, and doubt, these are not enemies to be feared, but shadows to be understood. A monk once described them as winds. If you do not know they are blowing, you are tossed around. But when you see the direction clearly, you can adjust your stance and remain steady. There was a young novice who struggled deeply with restlessness. His thoughts scattered like leaves, and during meditation he could barely sit still. His master handed him a bowl filled to the brim with water and asked him to walk across the courtyard without spilling a drop. The novice focused with every fiber of his being and completed the task. The master smiled and said, "You see, you already know how to concentrate. You simply forget." Overcoming hindrances is not about suppressing them, but about recognizing their patterns. When desire pulls the mind outward, return to the breath. When restlessness shakes the heart, slow the inner pace. When doubt clouds vision, remember your past steps, the moments you endured when you thought you could not. Think about your day. Perhaps you resisted a craving that once ruled you. Perhaps you noticed irritation rising and chose patience instead. Maybe doubt whispered its familiar story, yet you moved forward anyway. These small victories are not small at all. They mark the sharpening of your spirit. Each time you stood firm against distraction, you stepped closer to inner mastery. Each time you returned to clarity, you reflected the peace that heaven recognizes and honors. Some days test the spirit in ways that strength alone cannot answer. The ancient Shaolin masters understood this well. They taught that skill is forged not only through practice, but through the quiet, stubborn perseverance that carries you forward when everything feels heavy. Practice shapes the technique. Perseverance shapes the person. There is an old story of a monk training on a steep mountain path. Every day he climbed the same trail, carrying a bucket of water balanced on a wooden pole across his shoulders. One day, exhausted and discouraged, he asked his teacher why they repeated such a simple task endlessly. The teacher pointed to a stone stair, worn smooth in the middle. This, he said, is the result of footsteps taken not once, but thousands of times. Mastery is not one great act. It is many small ones. That is the heart of Shaolin perseverance, returning again and again. Even when the body aches, even when the mind resists, even when doubt tries to whisper its way into your commitment. Think about your own day. Perhaps you moved through it carrying a weight others could not see. Fear, stress, fatigue, or uncertainty. Maybe you stumbled, made mistakes, or felt your inner fire dim. But you kept going. You rose, you continued, you stayed on your path longer than your discomfort wanted you to. This persistence is not overlooked. In the unseen realms, it is held with great honor. Heaven does not measure perfection, it measures sincerity. Every step you took despite the difficulty, every effort you made while feeling drained, every choice to push through rather than give up. These are the foundations of true spiritual growth. Perseverance is devotion in motion. It is the quiet oath you make to yourself and to something greater. I will continue. And each time you kept moving today, you strengthened the spirit that heaven recognizes as steadfast. There is a moment in every seeker's journey when holding on becomes heavier than letting go. The Shaolin elders understood this well. Drawing from ancient Buddhist wisdom, they taught that life moves like flowing water, never still, never the same, never ours to grip forever. Impermanence is not a threat. It is a reminder to breathe with the rhythm of life rather than struggle against it. One story tells of a monk carrying 2 pails of water down a mountain. When he reached the temple, one pail slipped from his hand and shattered on the stones. Instead of reacting with frustration, he bowed his head, whispering, "This too has fulfilled its purpose." A younger student watching was confused. "Why are you not upset?" he asked. The monk replied, "What breaks teaches release. What leaves makes space. Not everything is meant to be held." Non-attachment is often misunderstood. It is not coldness or indifference. It is clarity. It is the knowing that your worth is not tethered to outcomes, possessions, or the shifting emotions of a single moment. To walk the middle way is to stay balanced, not clinging too tightly, not rejecting too fiercely, simply meeting life as it comes. Think about your day. Perhaps you released a worry that had circled your mind for too long. Perhaps you chose not to chase an answer, a reaction, or an outcome you could not control. Maybe you accepted something as it was instead of forcing it to be something else. These are small acts on the surface, but spiritually they are profound. Each moment of letting go opened a quiet doorway. Through it flowed ease, clarity, and divine alignment. When you loosened your grip on what was weighing you down, you stepped into harmony with a deeper wisdom, the same wisdom the heavens mirror. Letting go is not loss, it is liberation. In the quiet halls of the Shaolin temples, there is a teaching spoken so softly that only those ready to understand can truly hear it. The teaching of no self, Wu-Sen, the empty mind. It is not emptiness in the sense of lacking, but emptiness in the sense of openness. A mind free from ego, from rigid identity, from the constant need to prove or defend. There was once a monk known for his extraordinary skill, yet he walked with the gentleness of someone carrying nothing at all. When asked how he remained so humble despite his mastery, he simply replied, "Because the skill is not mine. It flows through me only when I stop claiming it." His words carried a truth that many spend a lifetime chasing. When the ego dissolves, compassion naturally rises. Humility is not weakness, it is spaciousness. It allows you to see others clearly without the fog of comparison or pride. It opens the heart to recognize the shared Buddha nature that lives in all beings, the same spark, the same struggle, the same longing for peace. Think of your own day. Perhaps you spoke kindly when you could have spoken sharply. Perhaps you gave someone patience instead of judgment. Maybe you offered help without expecting credit, or you simply held a gentle thought towards someone who was struggling. These moments do not announce themselves with fanfare. They move quietly, like light through a window, but their impact reaches farther than you realize. Every humble action softens the world around you. Every compassionate choice aligns you with a higher resonance. Heaven is touched not by grandeur, but by sincerity. The sincere wish to ease another's path. The sincere intention to be gentle in a harsh world. The sincere effort to dissolve ego and let goodness lead. These small acts reflect a heart that has remembered its true nature, and that remembrance is a blessing in the eyes of heaven. There is a quiet power in being fully here, fully awake, fully aware. In Shaolin training, the body is never separate from the mind, and the mind is never separate from the moment. To walk without awareness is to move through life half asleep. To breathe without attention is to let energy slip through unnoticed. Presence is the bridge that unites thought, action, and spirit. A master once walked silently among his students during training. He stopped beside one who was practicing a simple stance and whispered, "You are not standing, you are not moving, you are noticing." The student looked confused. The master explained, "When you notice fully, your posture, your breath, your intention all become one. Then the ordinary becomes sacred." This was not a lesson in technique alone, but in mindfulness, the kind that turns even the smallest act into an offering. Every step you took today, every motion of your hands, every word you spoke, carried a potential for that same depth. Perhaps you paused before responding in conversation, or took a conscious breath in the midst of tension. Maybe you allowed yourself to notice the texture of your surroundings, the rise and fall of your chest, the subtle rhythm of your energy. Each of these moments was not mundane. Each was a rehearsal for mastery. Mindful presence trains the spirit as much as it trains the body. It strengthens clarity, deepens awareness, and aligns intention with action. When you respond rather than react, you create harmony where chaos could have taken root. When you move with attention, every ordinary task becomes a ritual, and every ritual reflects the inner discipline of one who is awake. Today, in the midst of life's pace, you practice this subtle art. The divine notices. Every mindful breath, every considered step, every moment lived fully is a quiet testament to your inner mastery and devotion. Even the most powerful river knows the need to flow and to pause. True mastery, as the ancient Shaolin sages taught, is not only in relentless effort, but in the art of balance, the rhythm between rigor and rest, action and stillness. Without this harmony, the body strains, the mind fragments, and the spirit grows heavy. With it, even the smallest effort becomes radiant, and every pause carries meaning. There was a monk who trained with extraordinary intensity. Day after day, he pushed his body to its limits, yet his movements began to lose grace. His master observed quietly and then said, "You run, but you do not breathe. You strike, but you do not feel." Strength without pause becomes weight, not power. The monk learned to weave rest into his practice, moments of stillness between strikes, quiet breathing after every exertion. Slowly the body regained its suppleness, the mind its clarity, and the energy began to flow with ease once more. Balance is a teaching of rhythm. There is a time to push, when the spirit stretches and the body awakens. There is a time to release, when the mind softens and the heart replenishes. Each complements the other. Discipline without rest becomes rigidity. Rest without discipline becomes stagnation. Only together do they form the cycle of mastery. Today, in subtle ways, you practice this balance. Perhaps you worked diligently on a task, yet allowed yourself a pause to breathe deeply. Perhaps you held focus, then chose to step back and observe. Each act of honoring both effort and rest mirrors the natural order, the divine cadence that flows through all creation. This harmony you cultivated is not invisible. It resonates within, restoring energy, sharpening awareness, and calming the spirit. In this delicate dance of exertion and surrender, you reflect a pattern that heaven itself delights in, a rhythm that honors both your strength and your serenity. Today was more than a day, it was a practice, a quiet offering to the rhythm of life. Every choice you made, every breath, every act of discipline, every moment of presence carried weight beyond the visible. Through mindful action, the cultivation of chi, humility and perseverance, you aligned with a sacred current that moves through all things. The small steps, the gentle breaths, the moments you let go or showed compassion, these are the threads that weave a life in harmony with the divine. Heaven notices your dedication, your patience, your steadfast heart. They are all part of a greater rhythm, one that reflects balance, inner mastery, and sacred alignment. Carry this awareness into tomorrow. Let each act be intentional, each breath mindful, each choice grounded in the principles of discipline and presence. Even the simplest moments can become offerings when lived with care and attention. If this message touched your heart, join us on this path of awakening. Subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire and let these teachings guide your daily practice, one mindful step at a time. Embrace stillness, honor discipline, and let your life be a reflection of the sacred.